In 1972, the US Infantis Taravelos project started by Cypher was a plan to clone Big Boss, who was said to be the strongest soldier of the century. As a result, Eli, later known as Liquid Snake, was born as a twin to Solid Snake. Another snake was born. Eli, who this world would come to know as Liquid Snake, was born at Cypher's facility, raised at Cypher as a soldier. He showed impressive aptitude and linguistic skills, becoming an extraordinary operative on the battlefield. However, at a young age, Eli discovers that he was born as a clone of a man called Big Boss. We curse and hate the fate of being a copy of someone else. 1979 Eli disappears from Cypher's surveillance car while traveling to Africa. From that time on, his clothes were already bare skin, long jackets and liquid snakes, and he had been following the path of the Luo clan since this time. The back of the jacket is engraved with a picture of a pig wearing an eye patch, the words "never be game over" in English and "liquid human" in kanji, "never be game over." In other words, it's not over yet. Later, the line that symbolizes him is written, and the pig with the eye patch is the Big Boss, the pig boss, and this pig bastard in foreign movies. What an expression there is. It may be that such a thought is put into it because it is connected to the connotation of you and the liquid human literal translation in liquid human. It seems to be implied that he is a young version of Liquid Snake. It will be an important word for imagining the identity of Eli in the Phantom Pain 1984 in Africa. He called himself White Mamba and voyeurized the boy soldiers. As the center of it, they continued to plunder in the neighborhood every day. Even though he is a small child, he already has the charisma of a mentor. Eli's tremendous qualities and talents in battle made him so powerful that even ordinary soldiers could easily crush him. Why did he slip through the surveillance of the Cypher and use his own power to voyeurize the armed group? It's all due to his entrenched resentment towards his father, Big Boss. He was brought into this world as a clone, and he learned this fact at an early age. That reality is certainly overwhelming. Just imagine for a second if you learned you were born a clone of your parent. If you found out the purpose of your birth was solely for military use, and this realization came during your most sensitive adolescent years, he probably felt sorrow over his existence from a young age. His sadness at some point transformed into pure hatred for his father. Perhaps the elephant's emotions were his only escape from the bitterness of grief, showing he exceeded his father Big Boss by killing him. By doing so, he might start living as an individual, not simply a clone. He probably believed in this. Perhaps it was the only way he could maintain his existence. At that time, he was only 1 or 2 years old. He should have been showered with his parents' love and affection, but instead he was growing in the warmth of his father's death. The negativity that grew in the heart of this 1 or 2-year-old boy became his landing point. He vanished from Cypher's base. That same year, Big Boss appears before Eli the Phantom Pain Episode 2, White Mamba. He has infiltrated Walla Yamasa to suppress an armed group of boy soldiers. Another Big Boss, his shadow warriors Punished Venom Snake and Eli, are seen here for the first time. Not knowing any better, Eli sees his despised father, whom he believes to be Venom Snake. From this encounter to the end, he tries to free himself from the curse, standing up to him with his small blade. After this, he tries to free Punished Venom Snake, Big Boss's shadow warrior, from the curse he is under. This is where you lose, boss. However, his plan fails there and then, and instead, Venom captures Eli. He ends up being protected along with other boy soldiers at his base, Mother Base within Mother Base. He doesn't open up, hates being called by his name, and fiercely resists being treated like a child. He fights against Venom and all the adults at Mother Base over the absurd fact that he was created for war. Realizing that Venom, who leads Diamond Dogs, isn't the real Big Boss, Eli unleashes his uncontrollable fury. Eli eventually aligns with and draws on the power of a third child, the Psycho Mantis, sharing his hatred, and gives up his weapons along with the boy's soldiers, restoring the Metal Gear in the process. He stole the Sahelanthropus and vanished from Mother Base in order to build his own ideal kingdom. Eli fled to an island floating on the Tube Africa arc. At this time, he had a biological weapon called a bioparasite. This bioparasite attaches itself to a human and detects their words. It then begins to reproduce when it identifies a certain language. Eventually, tens of thousands of offspring are born from the host, and they eat their host's lungs, leading to their death. The parasites exist in specific strains. For example, English strains react to English, Japanese strains react to Japanese, and so on. These parasites were created by a person named Zero as biological weapons in an intelligence agency called Cypher. Skullface, the commander of the XOF, was operating in the dark and brought the bioweapon into existence. Previously, when an incident occurred involving Skullface and these parasites, Psycho Mantis quietly stole the English strain. This parasite did not settle in its ecosystem before becoming an English strain. It was harmless to children, but it scattered the English strain of the parasite on the island where it had taken refuge. It drove the adults who cultivated it from the island. It was unable to escape into nature outside the island, which was allergic to seawater. In this manner, an empire of children was created. It looked like the novel written by William Golding in 1954. It looked like The Lord of the Flies. In the novel, the severed pig's head clustered with flies was described as the Lord of the Flies. Instead of worshipping the pig's neck, they venerated Sahelanthropus and boiled the ecology in place of maggots. A request was made to Diamond Dogs to secure Sahelanthropus in exchange for retrieving a hidden object from Sahelanthropus. The request was for the corpse of Big Boss. In other words, they wanted to kill Big Boss and then hand over his dead body, which was his own personal nightmare. The corpse of his despised father was now a condition for stopping the nuclear weapons launch. Among the pressing situation, Bedlam's Diamond Dogs infiltrated the island to recapture the stolen Sahelanthropus and protect the children, including the requester. But already on the island was Cypher's armed organization, XOF. At the time, Skullface, who was the commander, had died, yet the unit itself was still active. They had infiltrated the island before Bedlam to seize Sahelanthropus for themselves, leaving Diamond Dogs and XOF to retreat. Then, an all-out war over Sahelanthropus, with the requester aboard, erupted in flames. In order to break his cursed destiny and take everything into his own hands, Venom Snake fought a fierce battle to the death. But in the end, Eli was defeated by Venom. XOF is closing in on Eli as he crawls from the destroyed Sahelanthropus. Eli must not know. The force of the explosion triggers his dormant visual impairment, making everything momentarily appear white to him. Venom continues to resist, firing at XOF, but a boy's scream echoes with the firing of the last bullet. Indeed, due to his visual impairment, Venom shot Eli, who he was trying to help. Fortuitously, Eli, due to his bulletproof vest, was able to survive. However, his body was beginning to be affected by his changing biology. As Venom approaches, Eli proclaims his intention to kill Big Boss and bring about global destruction, to change the preordained path of his life. but once his adverse biological changes progress, there's no saving him. As Venom walks away, he tells him that he was a respectable soldier. "Don't blame yourself, blame me," he said as he left Eli with a gun loaded with a single bullet. Shoot Venom or shoot himself. When Eli was faced with this choice, Psycho Mantis appeared before him. "You can do anything, Mantis." He placed his hand on Eli's throat and used his ability to eliminate all the nature from it. Barely clinging to life, he takes the Mantis's hand and leaves behind the island that was burned to eliminate the natural world. He leaves behind the words, "It's not over yet, it's not over yet." In the 1990s, a young Eli participated in the One-Gun War and infiltrated Iraq as a secret intelligence agent and operative for Britain's SIS. Despite his active participation in numerous missions, he was made prisoner. Eli, who managed to escape, vanished only to be later saved by the US military, and in 2000 he enlisted into Foxhound, a special squad under the jurisdiction of the CIA, to replace Solid Snake. At this point, he is given the codename Liquid Snake. His combat aptitude combined with his abilities surpasses everyone else, and he's appointed as the leader of the squad. He assembles a small elite group named Sacred Foxhound. At the time, the members include their leader Liquid Snake, Revolver Ocelot, the prodigious female sniper Sniper Wolf, the megalithic shaman Vulcan Raven, the master of disguise Decoy Octopus, and Psycho Mantis' son from the Kingdom of Flies lent him support. Then in 2005, Liquid begins to move. Around this time, Revolver Ocelot, a member of Foxhound, had become one of his three main hopes, and his advice also gained attention, drawing their attention to an ancient capital of Alaska, Shadow Moses, where a new type of Metal Gear, known as Metal Gear Rex, had been secretly built in a nuclear arms disposal site. Metal Gear Rex, a nuclear-powered bipedal tank, jointly developed by the US Army, DARPA and Armstech, is a nightmare of a weapon designed by Hal Emmerich, also known as Otacon. Liquid, leading Foxhound and their next-generation special forces, capture Shadow Moses and Metal Gear Rex, a large-scale escalation by the active special forces. In exchange for a nuclear attack from Rex, he presented a list of demands to the US government. The body of the boss. Yes, at that time built his own kingdom in boyhood, the same content that he demanded in exchange for the disruptor of Sahelanthropus. Cursed his own birth from childhood. Liquid was aiming to defeat his father, Big Boss. But at this point, Big Boss has already been defeated by Solid Snake. His desire was unfulfilled, so he realized the soldier's paradise carried out of heaven. She surpasses the parent by realizing the will that the parent could not achieve. He had a distorted emotion to take revenge on him, demanded the body of Big Boss, and occupied Shadow Moses Island, made that place outer haven. He aimed to take over the world which he created as himself. The American Secretary of Defense, Jim Houseman, who saw the situation seriously. The former commanding officer of the Special Forces Foxhound appointed Roy Campbell as the operational commander. We lived a reclusive life in Alaska and called Solid Snake, ordered a solo infiltration mission. Liquid has the same blood brother and aims to defeat Solid Snake and engages in a direct deathmatch. On the other hand, his subordinate, Revolver Ocelot, killed DARPA. Chief Shiggin and Donald Anderson, during interrogation, could not enter the code to fire the nuclear weapon he knew. So the former survival shared officer of Foxhound, who was supposed to be Solid Snake's support in this case, killed McDonnell Miller, impersonated him to make Snake input another nuclear launch code. I was leading him wirelessly. Snake, McDonnell Miller, it's nostalgic, master. Why did I hear about this time from Campbell? I'll get support also from Ocelot's former superior commander of the Soviet GRU, Colonel Sergei Gordogovich. After joining, I revealed to Ocelot that I would remain in that position without Shadow, and this saying, the intention of the Egg Boss. From today, I shall call this place Outer Heaven, the intention of the Egg Boss. The male, as suspected, Inputted the nuclear launch code, Solid Snake appeared in Metal Gear Rex and tried to defeat it this time. However, with the interference of the cyborg ninja, Mono Fox Metal Gear, Rex was destroyed later. Challenged the final direct battle with Snake on Rex's head, falling from a height of 170 meters, but still surviving, chasing Snake in a Jeep, then attacking, pulled out from the flipped Jeep and immobilized Snake. Tried to take Snake's life till the very last. Started showing symptoms of the supposed to be non-pathogenic artificial virus. Died due to a severe outbreak of Fox's large size. Then huff, 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 so that his brother Solid Snake could be born. He thought of himself as a spare, made by concentrating the recessive genes. Because of that, he grew up not knowing the reason for his birth. He harbored intense hatred towards Solid, who killed their own father and took his chance for revenge. Later, ironically, it's revealed that the one who had the dominant genes concentrated was actually Liquid. He never knew this fact over his life. In the play, dressed in a foxhound coat over his bare top in the freezing cold of Alaska, Liquid exudes charm. As a warrior, his physical abilities and combat skills are beyond superhuman, and he had amazing determination to support that. In this event, he managed to shoot down 2 F-16 fighter jets with his Hindy assault helicopter. Pursued Solid with determination even after falling from the head of Metal Gear Rex, and even got up after his Jeep flipped over, displaying numerous superhuman feats. Also, his close combat techniques were strong enough to rival Snake. He intimidated the rest of the eccentrically diverse Foxhound members with his tenacity, and was feared by them. From a young age, he despised his life, his father, his brother, and the world that created him, and lived only for revenge. None of his long-held wishes were fulfilled, even now, when his life has come to an end. Even now, when the Metal Gear saga has reached its conclusion, I feel like I can hear his voice from time to time. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. And thank you very much for watching till the end.